I'd like to open the floor for questions. Please state your name and formulate your question as briefly as possible. Anybody? Please, yeah.
My name is Narendranath. I work with an NGO called Pradhan as an organization that works on natural resource management and sustainable farming. With about 1 million families in Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, etc. What Sadhguruji, whatever you just said is gospel for us. I mean, textbook, we totally try to follow the kind of principles that you just said. Having said that, I would like to have the view of, of the panel, both Mr. Minister and Sadhguruji, on two sticky topics of the day, of the contemporary times here in India at least. On the first topic, I think I almost know your answer, Sadhguruji, because from what you said, it's about capturing moisture in a million small plots versus capturing in one big dam. So the question is, what is your view on the whole discussion about the big dams and the controversies around the big dams? And the second is about this, again, a current big discourse going on about interlinking of rivers. You said the Cauvery is a different river system compared to the Himalayan rivers. So how advisable is to try to link these rivers across the country? So these two topics are discussed far and wide, but we have not reached any resolution on this. Your views, both the panelists. Thanks.
Shall I speak? 2 minutes. Interlinking rivers is a voluntary program. It can be within the state, wherever they think feasible to align. It is not taking Ganga to Cauvery, but it is aligning. Now the Ken Betwa, both Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh have agreed. And even after regime change, both agreed because both benefit. And therefore, this is the way forward. Gujarat has done their own interlinking of waters. It benefits. So there is a very strongly proven case. So it is voluntary program. We are not mandating anything. We are helping. Number one. Number two, you asked about big dams. Once I was discussing with my one very good expert, and he told me one simple sentence. Small rivers will have small dam. Big rivers will have big dams. So, I'm not against dams or the series of dams, but there are many things to be done to the whole river system because we can't stop humanity from progress. We were 35 crore when 60 years ago. Now we are 130 crores. But we don't require to import food because of dams have also played a very important role in irrigation.
See, we built dams at a time when India was facing major famines, where a famine means it did not take people in thousands, it took them in millions. So the 1943-44 famine took nearly 3.5 million people in 4 months. So, even post-independence, till 1962, we had famines in the country which took hundreds and thousands of people. So at that time, we did build big dams, mainly inspired by United States, because it's United States which brought in the idea of huge dams. Europe generally did not build very big dams. So, we went for that because at that time it was an emergency measure. We had to do it to save the people of this country. As the minister pointed out, many of us are alive because of the dams, and our population is multiplied because of the dams. That is also there. So, but now the idea of building a big dam is gone in the world. United States has decommissioned over 900 dams. And in India, wherever we can build the terrain-wise, wherever we can build the dam, we've largely done it. Rest are all flowing in the plains, building dams in the plains will be not right. So, I don't think government or anybody is thinking of big dams except a few mountain streams they're trying to harness for hydroelectric and stuff. But otherwise, there is no possibility of big dams. Do we want to break the dams that we have built? No, we cannot do that. We have invested and the lifestyles have formed around it, we cannot suddenly turn this around. One thing that is happening in our dams, particularly the Himalayan region, because the volume of silt is so heavy, though the life of that dam, for example, Teri Dam, from the age of 19, myself, for 27 years, every year I trekked in Himalayas. So I saw the Teri Dam from the time of its planning, coming up. I went and met, the Chipko movement. I met Bimala Devi. I could not meet Sundarlal Bahuguna, but I met his wife. And I was at one time considering myself joining full-time to the Chipko movement because I saw a disaster building up. But now that it's built and there's a huge volume of stagnant water, Himalayas being a very sedimentary kind of mountain, the volume of silt that is coming, I would say the life of Teri Dam is just another 25 to 40 years. After that, it'll be totally silt-ridden and unusable, and you can't dredge it. You cannot dredge it, that volume. So the dams will become irrelevant if you build in certain areas, but there are certain dams, for example, K.R. Sagar Dam, it has transformed the whole area into phenomenal agricultural belt. So you cannot talk about this as one simple for or against. It is a question of judiciously doing what is needed.
Yes.
When it comes to river linking, well, all kinds of people, film stars, anybody who wants to become popular in this country, they say, I'll bring Ganga water to Cauvery, I'll bring Godavari to Chennai. This is happening, this is irresponsible because in a tropical country, transporting water by canals is irresponsible. The level of evaporation when the temperatures are over 35 degrees centigrade and it's a thirsty land, amount of water it's drinking up is just not right. If cities need water, it must be transported through pipelines. Of course, people have to be serviced. Pipelines can take water. Agriculture-wise, we need to understand, still we're in a mindset of subsistence farming, that around our region, around where we live, we want to grow everything. We want to grow paddy, we want to grow wheat, we want to grow vegetables, we want to grow everything. This is a subsistence mindset. Where there is water, you can grow thirsty crops. Where there is no water, you can grow other kind of dry crops because transporting food is much easier than transporting water. There was a time when there was no such transportation where you had to grow everything that you need around your home. Those days are gone, this needs to change. And for about government policies coming into picture, we are working with Maharashtra government. This has been the most progressive and proactive state when it comes to water-related issues and conservation of rivers. One thing they did was, they made micro-irrigation compulsory for sugarcane. 1 hectare of micro-irrigation can save up to 12 million liters of water per year, okay? This is what needs to happen.
Yes.
That we need to transform agriculture. Without transforming agriculture, which is consuming nearly 83–84% of the water in the country, you trying to talk about various other things, you use less water when you're brushing your teeth, then I don't know what other problems you will have. This may help the local city water, water works, the water pump that is there in the city, it may help, it may bring down the load. Yes, it is some civic sense, but it is not of any ecological significance. Ecologically, if something needs to happen, we must see where is the maximum usage. The maximum usage of land and water is in agriculture, and that's what we need to transform.
Absolutely.
But you don't get marks or you don't get funding if you are an NGO and want to transform agriculture, you have to hit some industry. You must say, this business is the main source of all the trouble, then you have people gathering behind you. This kind of environmental activism needs to stop. Because right now what I see is, a whole lot of people are invested in poverty. Right now we have proven, 18 years we have proven that the farmer's income can be changed dramatically by going into agroforestry. Right now I am facing 2 public interest litigations since the Cauvery calling in the last 1 week and many other lawyer notices which are waiting for me when I go back, because people are invested in poverty. To convert people into communism and other kinds of religion, you need poverty. So people want the farmer to be poor, they're afraid if farmers' economic condition changes, how will they manage their business? So this is going on in the country, this the government should deal with to some extent.
All right. We have time for one.
Good evening, I'm Dr. Ruchi Saxena. Namaste. Sir, I have seen a dynamic leadership over many years. I'm a girl who's from Mumbai, but I'm married to somebody from Nepal. Being a girl from two countries, seeing the pain of both the countries, the way you have shown your leadership in India and moved the governments and the industries to make a change, I would actually kind of get your comments, how can we build a cross-border cooperation between India, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, so that the issues of flooding which happens across the border, it's kind of resolved, and some more steps can be taken by both the governments and the industries on both the sides of the border to kind of reduce the burden of disasters. Thank you.
See, the problems are not of the same nature. The problems of Nepal and problems of India are not of the same nature. Nepal is largely a mountainous country and copious amount of water coming from glacial melting all the time. The snow melt creates enormous amount of water. Rain is also very copious in the mountains out there. Almost, people may not know this, nearly 40% of the Ganga water is from Nepal and Tibet. So, the water that is coming down there, people are trying to build dams there, which may solve some immediate problems for them, but it'll create major problems over 25 to 50 years' time. You should not build too many big dams in Nepal, and they want to build now. These things you cannot stop them. But people here also think too much flooding is happening and we must build dams in Nepal. We must understand this, the entire development of this civilization happened because of these floodplains. It brought such alluvial soil, you could grow anything you want. You've heard Mera Desh ki dharati, sona ugale ugale and all that stuff. That is mainly because of the alluvial soil that came down from the mountains.
Yes.
But now we are having a whole population living in the floodplains and we think flood is a disaster. Flood is not a disaster, it's a very good thing. It's bringing wealth into the nation. But we don't know how to receive this wealth. We're getting buried under this wealth. This is our problem. So, one important thing that nobody wants to touch, the elephant in the room is population. Nobody wants to address it. But we must address it. We are instituting an award for all the young women who have consciously chosen not to have children in their life. We are instituting an award because this is what needs to happen. That human being means we do everything consciously. The Nepali husband and the Indian Mumbai girl need not necessarily produce a mix. You live happily. Oh, see. I'm not saying you must not have, but it is not compulsory. It is not compulsory. It must be a conscious choice if somebody wishes to. Otherwise, they should stay away from it because we are trying to… everybody is talking about controlling human aspiration. Believe me, you're not the first one. Right from Buddha's time, even before that, people have been telling you how to not be consumerist, how to live with little. It's not worked or no? Has it worked or not? It's not worked. Now suddenly you start talking about giving up your desires, is it going to work? I know it'll not work. You cannot reduce human aspiration, but if we have sense, we can reduce human population. United Nations is predicting by 2050 we'll be 9.8 billion people. 9.8 billion people, I don't want to live on this planet. And it's a shame, it's an absolute shame we are even thinking of a planet B. What does planet B mean? We mess up planet A and go to planet B. Are we not ashamed of that? Even to think that we looking for a planet B, I think it's a shameful thing that we should think of a planet B. If there is a planet B, we should never step on it because of what we have done to planet A. Hello? So, reducing human population should become a major focus of world leadership. It's very, very important. So, One reason India's population has multiplied the way it has is not necessarily because of excessive reproduction. In 1947, the average life expectancy of an Indian was 28 years. Today it is 71, which is a phenomenal achievement. So as our lifespan increases, what this means is we are postponing death. If you're postponing death, should you not postpone birth? I'm not talking any philosophy, I'm talking simple arithmetic.
Minister, would you like to comment on the question about transborder cooperation?
Which cooperation?
The question that she asked about transborder. I'm going
No,
backwards
transboundary.
now.
See, that's a Himalayan ecosystem, and as Sadhguruji has said, it's very right that every country's topography and climatic conditions and rainfall and everything is different. So it needs different solutions, and we are working on it with the respective countries where we can actually collaborate with each other so that both countries don't suffer much. But as he is rightly saying, alluviating soil comes through floods. The only issue is how to manage flood. We are seeing how not to manage floods.
Thank you. I think we have time for one more very brief question, if anybody.
My question is to you, Honorable Minister. India is home to 1/7 of the world's humanity, and yet has about approximately just about 2.5% of the land mass of the world. And therefore our challenges of coexisting with nature are monumental, of course. The impact of any population program and incentives also will probably generate a couple of decades later. So therefore we do have immediate challenges in the next 2 or 3 decades to really create solutions where man and nature can coexist and live symbiotically. And there are many models that have happened in India already in this regard. So could you throw some light on some of those solutions that India has already experimented with?
About population?
No, about man and nature living in partnership together.
We think that, yes, as I told you, Indian culture is to worship nature, to be with nature, grow nature around. What stopped it was the laws which we made that cutting a tree and transporting a tree becomes the big crime. We have done away with. Now we have decided bamboo also to be grass, and so it can be freely transported. Because unless you create an opportunity for farmer to grow and cut and transport and sell, why he will grow in first place? That's what happened with sandalwood. Sandalwood is India's own species. Australia took from us 100 years ago. Now we are importing from Australia. So this is how we are doing. Now yesterday we were discussing about agarbatti, bamboo plantation which makes agarbatti rounded. So there were many restrictions which we are removing because otherwise we don't grow sustainably. But I must comment what Sadhguruji has said is very right, that we must think of bigger issues also, which we don't talk at this present, because if I talk something now on the issue which he raised, that will be the news. So, so I'll only say that these are bigger issues which need to be discussed at various forums so the public voice grows in one direction.
As a concluding remark, we're coming to the end of our time. I'd like to ask each of you for your final reflections and maybe thinking about a year from now, if we come back here, and we're really looking at, have we accelerated our path on this transition? What would you like to see a year from now?
Acceleration is definitely needed. But when we say acceleration, we must talk in terms of acceleration of inputs as solution, not results. Because this is a thing that I realized when we did the Rally for Rivers. We did a missed call campaign where 162 million people participated. It's the largest movement ever to that many people to participate. But many people thought if they give a missed call, the river will come up. So to make them understand that we need to work and it'll take another 15 years, 12, 15 years time before you see results, and you need that level of commitment that you are there for 12, 15 years on the job to make this happen, otherwise this will not work. So this is an important thing that we need to put across. After 1 year, what would you like to see? We would like to see more intensified efforts, but we should not expect results in 1 year's time, because that's not the way we fix environment. If you want engineering solutions, you can have it in a year. But engineering solutions or emergency solutions, they are not real solutions. We need ecological solutions. They take time. As we took time to destroy it, we take time to put it back.
Thank you. Minister?
I'll just say that what Sadhguru ji has said is absolutely right. It is not 1 year or 50 days or a 100 days program. It is more years and generations together have to work in direction. And that direction we have finalized will make it takes more speed in that direction. That's what we can achieve in 1 year.
I have to say, this is not to praise the minister who is here, but I have to say, in the last 2.5 to 3 years' time, many small policy changes have happened, which is directing, which is pointing towards ecological solutions. This need to be activated. Policy changes have happened, now we need to push it into action. This needs to happen in the next 1 year. If we push it into action mode, the policy changes that have been effected in the parliament, we need to push it.
I'd like to thank our panel, not just for their solutions that they have provided, but particularly for their commitment towards an ecological solution. Thank you very much.